Hi guys, and welcome to another video from U-Wrench. Today we're going to be covering everything you need to know about tyre rotation. Let's do it. So what exactly is tyre rotation? Well, probably a better description for it in reality is wheel rotation. And so when we rotate the tyres, what we're actually doing is we're changing the position of the wheel on the vehicle. So we've got four corners to the car, one tyre in each corner, and we're going to be changing which of those wheels goes into which of those corners. So why do we actually need to change the position of the wheels on the car? So the main reason that you're going to want to do this is because this is going to save you quite a lot of money over the long term. And that's because the tyres that are on your vehicle will wear differently depending on where they're located on the car. So for example, on a typical front wheel drive vehicle, as we have here today, the engine is usually at the front of the car, and so the front of the car generally is heavier than the rear, so that's going to put more wear onto the front tyres. Likewise, of course, your front wheels move when you turn the steering wheel, so when you're doing parking, three-point turns, or even going around corners, they're going to get a lot more wear than your rear tyres, which don't move at all. Additionally, the driven wheels on your car are subject to more twisting force. So as you push your accelerator pedal down, that wheel's going to want to turn, whereas the non-driven wheels will just follow. And so when you come to check your own tyres, as we're going to show you in this video, you'll probably find that your front tyres are wearing at a different rate to your rear tyres. And so by doing a tyre rotation, what you can do is you can even out the wear on your tyres, make them last longer, and save yourself a lot of money. So an obvious question may well be, well, how often should I rotate my tyres? Well, the answer to that question can vary a little bit between different manufacturers, so it's always best to look in the handbook for your particular make or model. However, as a guideline, it's generally recommended that you rotate your tyres between every 3,000 to 7,000 miles. So if you aim for 5,000 miles as a good average, that should be spot on. So for stage number one, it's always a good idea to inspect your tyres before you start doing your rotation. So you want to have a good look over your tyre, checking it for obvious signs of damage. So if you have things like a bulge in the side wall of your tyre, maybe you can see exposed wires, those are going to show you that that tyre has a serious problem, and so that really needs to be replaced. But assuming that your tyre looks physically quite healthy, it's always a good idea to have a good look at the treads. So the first thing is to get a gauge of how much tyre wear you have on this particular corner. And thankfully, to make that easier for us, manufacturers do actually put little moulded markers in between the treads in here. And what that does, that actually shows you what the minimum legal tread is on that tyre. So if your tyres are very worn and you see that your tread is level with the little marker in there, then you have an illegal tyre that needs to be replaced as soon as possible. But assuming that your tyre tread is higher than the markers, then you still have a legal tyre. And so now it's a good idea to get an idea of how much tread you have on this tyre, and then compare it to your other three. And what you'll most likely find is that your pair of front tyres have worn at a different rate to your pair of rear tyres. But don't panic, that's exactly what you should be seeing, and that's exactly the reason why it's so important to do your tyre rotation. And if all four of your tyres are fairly new, then it may not be obvious just by a visual inspection of the depth markers how much tread you have remaining on your tyre. And in that instance, it's still always a good idea to measure the amount of tread that you've got remaining. It's actually very easy to do. What we have here is a tread depth gauge tool, and you can pick these up really inexpensively on places like Amazon. These are only about kind of $10–12. And we will add some Amazon links into the video description below, so if you fancy picking one of these up, then please be sure to help support us and use those links. Another thing to have a quick look at the same time is also to check the evenness of the wear across the face of the tyre. What you should ideally be seeing is the depth that we have here should be the same in all of these grooves across the face of the tyre. Now it is possible that you may have uneven wear across the face of the tyre, and if you have, don't worry, we will be covering that later in the video. But it's always worth having a quick look over now so you know exactly what you're facing. And if you do notice that you have uneven wear on a particular corner of the car, be sure to write that down, what corner that you're having that problem with, because when you come to put your new wheel into this location, then of course it's going to wear in exactly the same way. So that's an indication that you do have a problem on this particular corner, and we'll cover later in the video what that means. So for the next stage of the planning process, you need to work out what method of tyre rotation you actually need for your particular car. So first thing you need to know is your car front wheel drive, rear wheel drive or four wheel drive? And the second thing you need to know is whether the tyres that fitted onto your car are directional or non-directional. So what does that actually mean? Well, on some models of tyre, they're only designed to be rotated in one direction. That means that the tread pattern that's on those tyres is specifically made to go only in one direction. So that would be a directional tyre. However, more commonly, tyres are non-directional, which means that they're free to travel in either direction. And thankfully, it's very easy to tell whether you have a directional or non-directional tyre fitted to your car. All you need to do is have a look around the information on the sidewall of the tyre. And if yours is a directional tyre, you will usually see the word rotation on the sidewall of the tyre accompanied by an arrow. And that arrow should always be pointing in the direction that that wheel will be rolling when the car is moving forward. And it's very important to note that with directional tyres, because that arrow is facing in one direction, if you then took that wheel off of that car and spun it around and put it on the other side of the car, the arrow would then be facing backwards. And so if you have directional tyres, they can't be swapped between the different sides of the car. So that's why it's very important to know whether you have directional or, more commonly, non-directional tyres. And the third thing that you definitely need to know in advance is, are your front and your rear wheels actually the same size? Now, in the vast majority of cases, the answer to that question will undoubtedly be yes. However, in some instances, especially when it comes to quite high performance or prestige vehicles, there is a chance that your front and your rear wheels may be slightly different. And this can sometimes be doubly confusing because your front and your rear wheels may well take the same size tyre, but for example, they might have a slightly different offset. To give you an example of this, we were recently working on a Porsche Cayenne Turbo, and the front and the rear wheels did have the same size tyres, but there was a different offset between the front and rear wheels. So those tyres, in theory, you can't move from front to back. So that's another thing that you need to make sure in advance. But almost certainly for 90+% of people that will be watching this, your front and your rear wheels will be the same. But if you have a high performance vehicle, it's definitely worth doing a quick Google search just to make sure. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you all of the different variations for tyre rotation, which are dependent on those three different factors that we've just covered on your particular car. So first of all, for front wheel drive vehicles, there are two common options, assuming that you have non-directional tyres and all of your wheels are the same size. The first and most common is called the forward cross, and for this you move the front wheels directly backwards on the same sides, and then you also switch the rear wheels diagonally over to the front positions. And the alternative pattern for front wheel drive cars is called the X pattern, and this is where you change the fronts to the rears on opposite sides and also the rears to the fronts on opposite sides, which creates an X shape, hence the name. So next, moving on to rear wheel drive and four wheel drive cars. And the most common pattern for both of these is called the rearward cross. And this is where the rear wheels come forward on the same side, but the front wheels go backwards onto opposite sides. So next up, what if you have directional tyres, but your front and rear wheels are the same size? Well, because your tyres are directional, they cannot be moved onto the opposite side of the car. And so for directional tyres, your only option is to swap the front and the rear wheels on the same side. And this applies for front, rear and four-wheel drive cars. And lastly, what if you have different sized front and rear wheels? Well, in this instance, if you have non-directional tyres, then you can simply swap the wheels from one side to the other on the same axle. However, if you have a directional tyre coupled with different sized front and rear wheels, then you cannot rotate your tyres as there's simply no other place for each wheel to go. So you've now inspected and are happy with the condition of your tyres, and additionally you know exactly the method of rotation that you're going to use. And so the final part of the planning stage is you need to have a quick think on how you're going to lift your car. Now this can often actually be the hardest and most time-consuming part of the job, because usually the best way to do this is to get your car onto 4 axle stands. And at the very least, depending on what method of rotation you need to use, you might get away with being able to use 2 jacks. However, regardless of what method you're going to use, one jack is definitely not going to be enough to rotate your tyres. And we always recommend, before you consider putting your car onto 4 axle stands, that you check your manufacturer's handbook or do a quick Google search to make sure that you can identify the proper points that's safe to place those axle stands. So before we lift the car and we still have the weight of the car sat on the wheel, it's always a good idea to slacken the wheel bolts off, but only by half a turn. And the reason for this is if we slacken them off now, whilst the weight's still on the wheel, by half a turn, once we've got it lifted into the air, these wheel bolts will be quite easy to remove. Whereas if we left them at full tightness and then lifted the car into the air, when we put our leverage onto our wheel bolt here, the whole wheel would be wanting to rotate. So to make life easier for you, I'm going to slacken each of these off by half a turn. Of course, if you'll be using an impact wrench, then you can skip this step. So our next stage is going to be to lift the car. Now we're lucky here, we have a vehicle lift, so we can just lift this straight up in the air. As explained in the previous section, you at home are not going to be that lucky, and so you need to find the best solution for lifting your vehicle. So next we're going to remove the wheels one by one. Now as you remove the wheels, don't put them collectively into one pile. Remember, we need to know which wheel came from which corner of the car. So as you remove each of your wheels, be sure to keep it near that corner of the car. So now we have all 4 wheels removed. The next thing that you're going to want to do before we start moving these around is to have a good look at the tyres. Now we already inspected the tyres initially before we removed them, but now they're completely off of the vehicle, it's much easier to see all around the tyres and also the back of the tyres as well. So as before, again you want to check your tyres firstly for damage, especially on the back faces, because that might not have been immediately obvious before you remove the wheel. And the next thing you want to look at is the wear across the face of that particular tyre. Now what you ideally want to see when you're looking across the face of that tyre is nice even wear across the entire face. If however the wear on that particular tyre is uneven across the face, then that's going to be showing you that we do have some kind of problem. And what we'll do is we'll quickly cover the 3 most common types of tyre wear and what's likely to have caused them. So the first one is asymmetrical wear, and that is where the wear across the face of the tyre is uneven. And so for example, you may well find that one half of the tyre is much more worn on the face than the other half of the tyre. And if you have that uneven wear across the face of the tyre, that's usually an indication of an alignment issue. So things such as camber and toe and even damaged suspension components can mean uneven tyre wear. And the second common cause of uneven tyre wear is called shoulder wear, and that's where the 2 outer edges of the tyres, i.e. the shoulders, have worn evenly but much more than the tread across the centre of the tyre. And the most common cause for this is if you are running your tyres slightly underinflated. And the third and final common wear issue that we're going to be covering is centre or middle wear, and that's where the centre of the tyre has a lot more wear than the 2 shoulders of the tyre. And this is most commonly caused by having your tyres slightly overinflated, and so you're effectively blowing that tyre up like a balloon by overinflating it to a point where only the centre of that tread is actually touching the road. And so with an overinflated tyre, the centre of the tread is going to wear out a lot quicker than the 2 outer shoulders. Another thing that's worth mentioning is whilst you have the wheels removed from your car before we start moving them around, is this is a perfect opportunity to have a quick visual inspection over things like your brakes and your suspension components as well. Now we're not going to cover that in this video, but it's such a good opportunity, it's well worth having a quick look, just checking the condition of your rotors, your pads, your springs, all that kind of stuff, and just seeing if there's anything obviously visually wrong. And remember at this stage that there are various different ways to rotate the tyres, and that's going to depend on the 3 things that we covered during the planning stage. So you can't just do this willy-nilly. If you didn't watch that part of the video, make sure you go back and watch that, because you need to know what the exact method of rotation is going to be for your particular car. So as an example, we have a Dodge Grand Caravan here. This is a front wheel drive car, and also we do have directional tyres. So in our particular instance, what we need to do is we simply need to change the fronts and the rears around on the same side of the car. It's now ready to fit the new wheel into its new position. Slacken them up a little bit by hand. And usually I would do the one that's at the top there. I'm doing these 2 because we have a plastic hubcap trim, and it has 2 slots that you can do without having to do the wheel bolts up. So don't forget your trim if you've got one. Always make sure that your tyre valve is lined up with the cutout. Go ahead, have all 5. I'll grab my breaker bar here. I'm just going to snug these up. And when you do these, what you're trying to do is you're always trying to go to the opposite side of the hub. So if I start by tightening this one up, what you don't want to do is just go around in a circle. You just do this one to this one to this one to this one, because that will not give an even clamp between the back of the wheel and the hub. So what you want to do is you want to pick whichever one you want to start on, which is usually the top, and then go to directly the opposite side. So you've gone to the opposite side of the hub. And again, we're not going to go in a circle, so I wouldn't go here, I wouldn't go here. You want to go to the other one, which is directly opposite, and then the other one that's directly opposite, and then the other one that's directly opposite. So when you've got 5 like this, it's like it very much makes a star pattern. So my first one here at the top, just snug them up. So now we've got all 4 wheels fitted and all of the wheel bolts on every single one of those wheels snugged up. We can now go ahead and lower the car back down. So now you want to grab a torque wrench, and you need to torque your wheel bolts up to the correct torque specification. This does vary manufacturer to manufacturer and also model to model. So again, you want to check your vehicle handbook, or otherwise do a quick Google search to make sure that you get the correct torque setting for your particular make and model. Again, when you do this, as we mentioned before, you don't want to go around in a circle, so you always go to directly the opposite side of the hub. And then again, directly opposite, so you make that full star pattern between the 5. So for the final stage of the process, and this is probably the easiest one to be overlooked, but also one of the most important. So what is essential to do once your tyres have been rotated is you must check and adjust your tyre pressures. And the reason for this is that many models of cars have a different inflation specification on the rears than they do on the fronts. And so now, of course, because we've rotated all of our tyres around, every single one of these wheels is likely to be incorrect for tyre pressure. It's also worth noting, even if the specification on your car says it's the same for both the front and the rears, you still need to double check the tyre pressures. So you will almost certainly find, if you've swapped these wheels around, the tyre pressures will be incorrect on the corner that they're fitted. So it must be adjusted. And remember, you've just rotated these tyres to prolong the life of these tyres and also to save money. And so if you're driving around on these tyres with incorrect tyre pressures, all of that work is wasted. So whatever you do, be sure not to skip this step. And so that's it, we've come to the end of our video showing you exactly how and why you should rotate your tyres. And if this video has been helpful for you in any way or entertaining in any way, we always ask a quick favour in return. Can you please, at the very least, be sure to hit that like button for us? It really does help out our channel. And likewise, also please consider hitting that subscribe button. We've got loads more great content waiting for you to check out on our YouTube channel. So thank you for watching, it's very much appreciated, and hopefully we can help you out again further down the line with another video. We appreciate it, we'll see you again.